Alright, here we are back in Maya to look at the camera path, and we're going to look at how the textures that we just made in Substance Painter are applied to this aircraft. So you can see in the viewport a little bit the textures on the aircraft. Um, the shininess and the dimness of the textures are due to the viewport settings and how they work with lights and things turned on. If we turn the lights off, yeah, you can see it a bit better now. So that's an effect of the lights onto the viewport, and it still looks really shiny, but it doesn't end up being like that in the renders. So let's look at how the textures come in and are applied. So here is our hypershade, and as you can see, there's quite a bit going on. All of these, this is partially because of how I did the aircraft. I separated into many UV sets and textured each of those individually, and that allows me to get a higher resolution and put more detail onto the textures. So if you're doing something simpler, something like for a video game or something, you won't have quite this much going on, because you'll have fewer texture sets. But if we zoom in here, you can see this is for the rudder right here, and as you can see, when you export from Substance Painter with the V-Ray setting, you'll get these different things to plug in. And so this is just a regular V-Ray material. That's what it starts as, and it doesn't have any of these connections. And then you plug in diffuse to color, reflection to reflection color, IOR to the refraction IOR, rudder glossiness to reflection glossiness, and the height to the bump map. And that's how each of these are set up. They're all the same. A couple of them are special. This one here is for the ground plane, and so that one's just a simple PNG image connected into a material. We have a couple up here. These are lights and cameras mostly. Some environment fogs and things that didn't end up getting in. Here's the sun and the sky. You can see those here. This is for the light dome, for the camera, which we'll get to in a moment. We'll talk about the camera some more. But yeah, that's how all these textures are set up, and then each one is applied to its corresponding piece, and that's how you get this. Oh, I guess we'll go look at the glass as well, windshield glass. I'll click on it, and then when you open Hypershade, it will be selected. There it is. So, as you can see, the windshield glass does not have textures plugged into it. It's just a V-Ray material. I could have taken this to Substance Painter and unwrapped it, and then put surface scratches and things like that on it. I decided that wasn't quite necessary for this. If you wanted to add just that little bit more detail, you can certainly do that, but I just set it up to be a reflective, clear glass in V-Ray, the material setter here, and that's perfectly fine for our purposes here. Now we'll talk a little bit about the camera, and there it is right there. I have a targeted camera, and this is a physical camera, of course. Has to be a physical camera to work with sun and sky and some of the other lights and things we have in it. And so you can see the keyframes I have here, and if I scrub through bar, you can see the camera move. There we go. And you can see it resizes a little bit as it zooms in and out. And this is very easy to set up. The easiest way I have found to do it is you create the camera, and you see I have here camera group 1, and you have the aim point, and then you have the shot camera. And so this allows you can animate the aim point separately and allow to get the camera to move and things, but I found the easiest way to do it is just to look through selected, and this allows you to use it as though it were a regular camera, including moving the aim point, which you can see right there. And then by keyframing, as you move the camera around, you can create, that's how I created this camera path. And it's also useful if you know, don't want to lose where your camera was set, because as long as you have it keyframed, it doesn't matter what you do to it, it'll go back to where it was supposed to be. There we go. And you have to be careful. As you can see, I have a lot of keyframes here and a lot of keyframes here, and those are just to make sure the camera is smooth and not jerking jerking the view around. So sometimes it takes a little finagling. Another way to do this, of course, is in the graph editor. Where is that? Animation. Oh, and then oh, where's my timeline? Alright, here's my animation editor and the graph editor. And this allows me to, you can see each individual axis and how it is changing. This is a little bit more complex to work with than keyframing, just keyframing the camera in the viewport, but it can be very useful if you understand how these things work. Anyone who's done animation should recognize this. It's a little more complex, but you can use it to mess with things, to create. It really helps you smooth out your camera tracks and things like that. And you can see a little bit what it does here as I scrub back and forth on it. And so that's really what I did for this scene here. We'll go back to the perspective camera. Selected. Those are the main points, and with just those relatively simple things, you can make your gray clay model look a lot different. Look a little bit more appealing. Help show it off. And it's good to have skills more than just being a modeler. Knowing and understanding how textures and cameras and things work allows you to create, even if you are just modeling whatever job you do, it allows you to create with the future editions in mind. It will help you clean geometry and things like that. Will help people who are texturing, people who are rigging, animating, all down the line. So it's good to know a little bit about how every aspect of something works. But yeah, that's my setup for a simple camera, lights, and textures to help show off a model. Thank you.